So something I thought I should talk to myself about, kind of expand on it from my notes, is my childhood and how it was what shaped how I wanted my family to be when I was raising my kids. My father was very hands-on dad, and I really appreciate that now. Of course, when you're kids, you just don't know any better, so it could have gone the opposite way and I still would have appreciated him. But he was a very hands-on dad, and that shaped and influenced how I wanted to be a dad for my kids. He was always taking me places, doing stuff with me, taking me on hikes, taking me on walks, taking me to the parks, getting me out to see nature, getting me to sporting events, taking me for swimming and swimming lessons. And so when it came to raising my kids, I had this impression that both Jen and I were going to be hands-on parents. And looking back on it, I should have realized that although Jennifer's morals and values line up with mine, I would not have asked her to have children with me if I didn't feel like that was the case. How we decided to raise the kids was a source of contention, because I kept seeing her hands-off approach as being the wrong way to go about things. It became a source of contention. Thinking back on Jennifer's home life when she was a kid, it was very different from mine. But coming out of that home life, she grew up to have very similar values and morals to the ones that I have. And so I just didn't think it was going to be such a big deal that she had been raised a different way than I had. And I realize now that in some ways I was expecting her to raise our children the way that I had been raised, and the way that I was trying to raise the kids, and that I was trying to force that style on her. And boy, I suspect that really became a source of contention for us. Whenever I would ask Jennifer to take the kids somewhere or do something with the kids, especially back in Maryland, I frequently got the response, "But it's my day off." Implying that the time away from work was her time, and that she would spend it on herself. And I always felt like my time away from work was my chance, my opportunity to spend time with the kids, which we did not get a lot of chance to do, though I tried to do as much as possible in the later years in Maryland, as I realized that my kids were being raised by our nanny, and they were not really They didn't know me. And that became a serious point of worry for me. Why was I having 3 kids if I was not going to raise those children? If I was just going to hand them off to someone else and pay that someone money to raise them? My childhood was very good. Was it a spoiled childhood? I don't believe so. Perhaps if I described it to someone, they would say yes. But I always loved the way that my mother put things when she said, we always managed to have food on the table, which directly implies that there wasn't really money for anything besides food on the table. I feel like my parents were very hands-on parents. My father was very active and still is, and shared that love of activity with his 3 children. And my mother was very focused on making sure that my sisters and I had a good education. Her hands-on was truly, for me, the academics. If she had not gone the extra mile to teach me when I was a kid, sit me down an hour after hour, coach me, homeschool me, in addition to the public school that I was receiving, I would not have had nearly as much success academically as I did. I realize right now that Jennifer feels like she is parenting because the way she parents the kids right now is the way that she was parented as a child. Perhaps her mother would have liked to have done things differently, but her mother was practically single and always working, and she and her brother spent a lot of their time by themselves, taking care of themselves. Perhaps things might have gone a different way, but Jennifer, I'm sure, if I asked her today, would say that she doesn't see anything wrong with the way that she's been parenting our kids. Because she came out of a similar situation, and look at how amazing she is. And she is amazing. How do I forgive her for raising the kids exactly the way that she was raised when she turned out so great? It is a fault that I have realized in myself only now and only too late. If only I had realized years ago that what Jennifer was doing was exactly how she saw the correct way to parent is. I think that will be a regret that I take to the grave.